In the heart of the big city of Lagos lived a young woman named Nancy. Her life was not easy. She was an orphan with no family to call her own. Every day was a battle for survival, a constant struggle against hardship and loneliness. But inside her, Nancy carried a treasure more valuable than all the money in the world. She had a kind and pure heart. Little did she know, this very heart was about to connect her to the powerful billionaire she worked for, in a way that would change her destiny forever. Nancy worked as a cleaner at Collins Holdings, one of the biggest companies in the country. The owner, Mr. Collins, was a young billionaire, known for his sharp mind and even sharper tongue. He was a man who demanded perfection in everything, and he was not a kind boss. He never had a nice word for anyone, especially not for the junior staff like Nancy. Mr. Collins, a handsome but stern-looking man in an expensive suit, storms into the conference room. He looks at Nancy with disdain. "You, what is your name again?" Nancy jumps, startled. She holds her cleaning cloth tightly. "My name is Nancy, sir." "Good morning, sir." He scoffs. "What is good about the morning? I came in here to think, not to smell the terrible scent of your cheap cleaning soap. Can't you see I am here? Must you make noise everywhere you go?" "I am very sorry, sir. I did not see you come in. I will leave now, sir." "You will leave when I tell you to leave. Look at this table. There is a smudge here." He points to a spot that is perfectly clean. "Do you call this cleaning? Is this what I pay you for? To be lazy and incompetent?" Nancy looked at the table. There was no smudge. But she knew better than to argue with Mr. Collins. Arguing with him was a quick way to lose her job, and this job was the only thing standing between her and sleeping on the street. "I am so sorry, sir. My eyes must have missed it. I will clean it again immediately. Please, forgive me, sir." Mr. Collins hisses, a sharp sound of irritation. He turns and walks away without another word. Patricia, another cleaner who is known for her jealousy and gossip, watches from the doorway with a smirk on her face. Whispering to Nancy after Mr. Collins is gone. Nancy. Another problem for you today. The boss is not in a good mood. You better be careful before he sacks you and sends you back to your village." "Oh, wait, you don't even have a village to go back to." Patricia laughed cruelly. Nancy's eyes fill with tears, but she quickly blinks them away. She does not reply. She simply picks up her cloth and begins to wipe the already spotless table, her heart feeling very heavy. This was Nancy's life, a cycle of hard work, insults, and loneliness. Her co-worker, Patricia, never missed a chance to mock her. Patricia was lazy and would often leave her own work for Nancy to finish, but she was quick to report any tiny mistake Nancy made. Nancy endured it all in silence. She had learned long ago that the world was not a kind place for a poor orphan. The workday was finally over. Nancy was paid her small weekly wage. After buying a few things she needed for her room, she had very little money left. It was not enough for the bus fare home. So, like many other days, she began the long walk back to her small room in the crowded part of the city. Her feet ached and her stomach was empty, but she kept walking. As Nancy walks, she approaches a chaotic and noisy market area. People are rushing, shouting, and pushing past each other. In the middle of this chaos, an old woman with dark glasses and a walking stick is standing by the side of the road, looking lost and distressed. She tries to take a step onto the busy road, and a motorcycle swerves dangerously close to her, the rider shouting an insult as he speeds past. The market was full of people, but nobody seemed to notice the old woman. They were all too busy with their own lives, their own problems. They walked around her as if she was invisible. The old woman looked fragile and scared. She wanted to cross the road, but she could not see. Nancy stops. She looks at the old woman. She herself was tired and hungry. All she wanted was to get to her house and rest, but her heart would not let her walk away. She saw the fear on the old woman's face and she could not ignore it. Nancy walks up to the old woman gently. "Mama, good evening. Are you all right?" The old woman turns her head towards the sound of Nancy's voice. She looks relieved to be noticed. "Ah, my child, I am trying to cross this road, but my eyes are gone. I am blind. Everyone is in such a hurry. I am afraid I will be hit by a car. Oh, Mama, please don't worry. Hold my hand. I will help you cross the road safely. My name is Nancy. She smiles, a grateful, toothless smile. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. May God bless you for your kindness. Nancy takes the old woman's fragile hand. She looks carefully for a gap in the traffic. She holds up her other hand to signal for cars to slow down. A few drivers honk angrily, but Nancy stands firm, shielding the old woman as they slowly make their way across the dangerous road. When they reach the other side, the old woman sighs in relief. Ah, thank you, my daughter. Thank you so much. I have been standing there for so long. I thought I would be there until nightfall. It is no problem at all, Mama. Where are you going? Can I help you find your way? She looks down, her shoulders slumping. I am just trying to find a place to sit. I am also very hungry, my child. I have not eaten all day. Nancy's heart broke when she heard this. She looked at the small amount of money left in her hand. It was just enough for her to buy a plate of rice for her own dinner. It was all she had until her next payday. She looked at her money, and then she looked at the hungry old woman. For Nancy, there was no choice to make. Mama, come with me. There is a small place nearby that sells good food. Let me buy you something to eat. You cannot go on with an empty stomach. Her eyes, though blind, seemed to fill with tears. Oh, my child, no, no, you have already done so much for me. That money is for you. I cannot take it. Mama, please, money is just paper, but seeing you eat will fill my own heart with joy. Please, allow me to do this for you. The old woman nods, too moved to speak. Nancy leads her to a small, clean food stall and buys a hot plate of pounded yam with rich agouti soup. She finds a bench for them to sit on and places the food in the old woman's hands. She even buys a bottle of water for her. Nancy sat and watched as the old woman ate. She ate slowly at first, and then with more energy, enjoying every single bite. Nancy forgot about her own hunger. She forgot about her aching feet. She forgot about Mr. Collins and his insults. At that moment, watching this old woman eat, Nancy felt a deep sense of peace and happiness. The old woman finishes her food and lets out a contented sigh. My child, Nancy, I do not know how to thank you. You have a spirit made of pure gold. In this big city where everyone cares only for themselves, you stopped for a poor blind woman. You are a rare gem. It is nothing, Mama. We must help each other. She reaches out and holds Nancy's hand tightly. Her voice becomes serious. You remind me so much of someone I know, a stubborn son of mine who has forgotten the simple and important things in life, like kindness. He has so much, yet he has so little joy. This goodness you have shown me today, my child, it is a powerful seed. It will travel to a place you cannot even imagine, and it will open a very big door for you. Remember my words. This was the teaser. A hint of a future that Nancy could not possibly understand. She thought the old woman was just being grateful. She had no idea how true her words were, or how directly they were connected to her own life. Thank you for your prayers, Mama. Nancy helps the old woman to a nearby bus stop where she can get a bus that goes to her area. After making sure she is safe, Nancy says goodbye and continues her long walk home, her purse now completely empty, but her heart completely full. A few minutes later, Nancy was at her small room. She feels at peace. Suddenly, her old small phone begins to ring. It is a number she does not recognize. Nancy was confused. Nobody ever called her on this phone, except for the office manager if there was an emergency. She answered the call, her heart starting to beat a little faster. Nervously, she said, "Hello?" A man's voice, very stern and professional, speaks from the other end. Is this Nancy? Nancy Okafor? Yes, this is she. This is the office of the CEO. You are to report to Mr. Collins's personal office on the highest floor tomorrow morning. Be there at 7 a.m. sharp. Do not be late. Before Nancy can ask why, the line goes dead. Nancy stares at her phone in shock and fear. Nancy's heart dropped into her stomach. Mr. Collins's personal office? The highest floor? No cleaner had ever been called there. It was where he fired important managers. Why did the big boss want to see her? Was Patricia's evil wish coming true? Was she going to be sacked? The peace she felt just moments ago was gone, replaced by a cold, biting fear. Her simple act of kindness had brought her a moment of joy, but now it seemed like trouble was knocking at her door. She had no idea that her life was about to change forever. The single abrupt phone call had shattered Nancy's fragile peace. Sleep was a stranger to her that night. Her mind raced, replaying the cold official voice over and over again. Mr. Collins's personal office, the highest floor, 7 in the morning. Each word was a heavy stone, sinking her heart deeper into a sea of anxiety. She tossed and turned on her small bed, the thin mattress offering no comfort. Every creak of the old building, every distant sound from the city, felt like a premonition of doom. What could the chief executive officer possibly want with a lowly cleaner? In her experience, a summons from the top only ever meant one thing: dismissal. The cruel words of her coworker, Patricia, echoed in her ears, and fear, cold and sharp, gripped her tightly. She imagined herself jobless, with no savings and nowhere to go. The thought was terrifying. The sky is still a dark gray. Nancy is getting ready. She carefully washes her face and hands, her movements slow and deliberate. Before the sun had even considered rising, Nancy was awake. She knew she had to look presentable, to show respect, even if she was walking towards her own termination. She opened her small, worn-out wardrobe and looked through her few clothes. She selected her best dress. It was not fancy or expensive. It was a simple, modest gown of deep blue cotton that she had meticulously kept clean and neat for special occasions. She had always imagined wearing it to a happy event, perhaps a friend's wedding or a church service. Never had she imagined she would be wearing it to face the man who held her entire livelihood in his hand. With trembling fingers, she braided her hair, making sure not a single strand was out of place. She looked at her reflection in a small, cracked mirror. The face that stared back was pale with worry, her eyes wide with apprehension. Taking a deep breath, she whispered a silent prayer, asking for strength to face whatever was to come. As she walks with purpose, her small handbag clutched in her hand, she forgoes her usual wait for the crowded bus, choosing to walk the entire distance to ensure she was not late. Nancy left her room much earlier than usual. The city was still waking up, quiet and serene, a stark contrast to the storm raging inside her. She walked briskly, the cool morning air doing little to calm her racing pulse. As she approached the towering glass building of Collins Holdings, it seemed more intimidating than ever before. It stood like a giant, a monument to power and wealth, a world away from her own humble existence. She entered through the staff entrance and made her way to the elevators. Her heart pounding against her ribs like a drum, she pressed the button for the highest floor, a floor she had only ever heard about in whispers. The elevator ascended smoothly and silently. Each floor it passed, feeling like a step closer to her fate. The carpets are thick and plush, the walls are adorned with expensive art, and the air is scented with a subtle, costly fragrance. A well-dressed receptionist sits behind a large, polished desk. When the elevator doors opened, Nancy stepped into another world. This was not the functional, busy environment of the lower floors. This was the realm of power. Everything was silent, pristine, and radiated an aura of untouchable wealth. The receptionist, a woman with a severe expression and perfectly styled hair, looked up from her computer and eyed Nancy with an expression of mild surprise and disdain. Cleaners did not belong here. Yes, how may I help you? Her voice is barely a whisper. Good morning. My name is Nancy Okafor. I was asked to report to Mr. Collins's office at 7 o'clock. Raises a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. Mr. Collins is expecting you? Very well. You are 6 minutes early. Please have a seat. I will inform him of your arrival. Nancy perches nervously on the edge of a luxurious leather sofa that was probably worth more than everything she owned combined. She twists the handle of her handbag, her eyes darting around the opulent waiting area. After what felt like an eternity, the receptionist's voice cut through the silence. Mr. Collins will see you now. She walks towards his office door and knocks timidly. A deep voice from within says, Enter. With a deep, shaky breath, Nancy pushed the heavy door open and stepped inside. The office was immense. One entire wall was a floor-to-ceiling window, offering a breathtaking panoramic view of the entire city of Lagos, stretching out to the horizon. A massive mahogany desk stood in the center of the room, as large and imposing as the man who sat behind it. Mr. Collins did not look up immediately. He continued to sign some documents, leaving Nancy standing awkwardly in the middle of the vast, silent room. The silence was heavy, designed to intimidate, and it was working. Nancy felt small and insignificant, a tiny insect caught in a very large and expensive web. Mr. Collins finally puts down his pen and lifts his head. He gazes at Nancy with the same cold, piercing eyes as the day before. His expression is unreadable. "Miss Okafor, you are punctual. That is a commendable, if rare, quality. Please, come closer." Nancy takes a few hesitant steps forward, stopping a respectful distance from the desk. She clasps her hands in front of her to stop them from shaking. "Good morning, sir. You sent for me." "I did. I have a few questions for you, and I expect you to answer them with complete honesty. Your employment here depends on it." This was it. The moment she had been dreading. Nancy's mind went blank with fear. She tried to think of what she could have possibly done wrong. Did she miss another smudge? Did she break something? Was this about Patricia's constant complaints? "Yes, sir. I will answer anything you ask." He leans forward slightly, his eyes narrowing. "Yesterday evening, after your duties were concluded, where did you go? What did you do?" The question was so unexpected, it took Nancy completely by surprise. She had expected an accusation, not an interrogation about her personal time. Why would her billionaire employer care what a cleaner did after work? Her mind raced back to the previous evening. The long walk, the chaotic market, the old woman. "Sir, after work I walked home, sir." "You walked the entire way?" "Yes, sir." "And did you make any stops along the way? Did you, for instance, stop at the market? Did you interact with anyone?" Nancy's confusion turned into a dawning realization. Her heart began to beat even faster. But this time, it was not just from fear, but from a profound sense of bewilderment. He knew. But how? Her voice trembling slightly. "Yes, sir. I stopped at the market. I helped an old woman cross the road. She was blind and could not cross by herself." A flicker of something unreadable passed through Mr. Collins's eyes. It was not anger. It was something else entirely. He stood up from his chair and walked to the large window, turning his back to Nancy as he stared out at the city below. "Tell me more about this old woman. What happened after you helped her cross the road?" "She told me she was hungry, sir. She said she had not eaten all day. So I bought her some food. It was all I could do." His voice is quiet, almost reflective. "You bought her food. With what money? Your weekly wage is barely enough to sustain one person, let alone two." "It was my dinner money, sir, but she needed it more than I did. It was nothing, really." Mr. Collins turns around slowly to face her. The hard mask of the ruthless CEO had softened, just slightly. For the first time, he was not looking at her as a cleaner, but as a person. "It was not nothing, Miss Okafor. That old blind woman is my mother." The words hung in the air, echoing in the vast, silent office. Nancy felt as if the floor had disappeared from beneath her feet. His mother? The powerful billionaire's mother was the fragile, hungry woman she had helped at the market? It seemed impossible, like a story from a book. Her mind reeled in shock. The old woman's strange words from the day before came rushing back to her. "This goodness you have shown me today, my child. It will travel to a place you cannot even imagine, and it will open a very big door for you." The door was right here. She was standing in it. My mother. She has a habit of doing this. She dismisses her caregivers and wanders out into the city. She says she is testing the heart of the world. It is a source of constant frustration and worry for me. Yesterday, her security detail lost her for nearly an hour. They found her just after you had left. listening to her tell the story of a kind young woman who used her last bit of money to feed a stranger. She described you perfectly. She insisted, "I find you." Nancy was speechless. She could only stare at her boss, this man she had feared so deeply, and see him in a completely new light. He was not just a boss, he was a son who worried about his mother. "Sir, I did not know. I truly had no idea." "I know. That is precisely the point. You did it not because you expected a reward, but because it was the right thing to do. Such integrity is rare. I have been looking for someone with that quality." "I am not dismissing you, Miss Okafor. On the contrary, I have a new position for you. You will no longer be a cleaner. From today, you will be my mother's personal companion. You will ensure her comfort and her safety. Your salary will be increased tenfold. A car will be arranged to bring you to and from her residence every day." Nancy swayed slightly, her hand going to her mouth in utter disbelief. From a cleaner to a personal companion, from insults and poverty to a position of trust and a life-changing salary. It was too much to comprehend. Tears of shock and overwhelming gratitude began to stream down her face. In that moment, Nancy's life was rewritten. A single act of kindness, born from a pure heart, had changed her destiny in a way she could never have dreamed. The fear that had plagued her all night was washed away by a flood of unbelievable joy. The prophecy of the old woman had come true. A very big door had indeed been opened, leading her out of the darkness of her struggle and into the bright, warm light of a new beginning. For a long moment, Nancy could not speak. The news was so profound, so life-altering, that words failed her. She stood frozen in the magnificent office, a single, humble person at the center of a miracle. The man she had feared, the powerful Mr. Collins, had just become the architect of her salvation. The tears that flowed were not tears of sorrow or fear, but of immense, overwhelming gratitude. They washed away the years of hardship, the loneliness, the feeling of being invisible and unimportant. In this grand room, with the city of Lagos spread out beneath her, Nancy was finally seen. Mr. Collins watches her, his expression uncharacteristically patient. He walks to a small table and pours a glass of water, extending it to her. "Miss Okafor, please, drink some water." Nancy takes the glass with a trembling hand, her eyes never leaving his face. She is still trying to understand if this is all a dream. In a shaky, tear-filled voice, "Sir, I do not know what to say." "Thank you. Thank you is not enough. Why me?" His voice is calm and direct. "You are asking the wrong question. It is not why you, it is what you did. You showed compassion when you had nothing to gain. You gave from your own need, not just from your abundance. That, Miss Okafor, is a character trait that cannot be bought or taught. It is what my mother needs around her. It is what I value." His words were a balm to her soul. He saw her value, not as a worker, but as a human being. He then proceeded to explain her new duties with his usual businesslike efficiency. But the cold edge in his voice was gone, replaced by a tone of professional respect. "You will start immediately. My mother's name is Ifeoma. You will address her as Mama Ifeoma. Your primary responsibility is to be her companion. Talk with her, read to her, walk with her in the garden. You will also coordinate with her nurse and her cook to ensure all her needs are met. You will not be a servant. You will be a trusted member of her household. Is that clear?" Nodding, wiping her tears. "Yes, sir. It is perfectly clear. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Go and collect your personal belongings from the staff locker room. My driver is waiting for you downstairs. His name is Joseph. He will take you to my mother's residence. I have already informed the household staff of your arrival. They are expecting you." As she walks out of his office to the elevator, she looks at her reflection in the shiny elevator walls, touching her face as if to confirm she is real. As the elevator descended, Nancy felt as though she were floating. The world she was returning to on the ground floor was the same world she had left just a few minutes ago, but she was no longer the same person. She was no longer just Nancy, the poor orphan cleaner. She was Nancy Okafor, the personal companion to the CEO's mother. The title felt strange and wonderful on her tongue. Her journey down in the elevator was a symbolic descent from the clouds of disbelief back to reality, but a reality that was now brighter than she had ever imagined possible. In the staff locker room, a small, cramped, and dimly lit room, Patricia and two other cleaners are there, gossiping. When Nancy entered the locker room, all conversation stopped. Her colleagues stared at her. They had all heard the rumor that she had been summoned by the big boss. They were expecting to see her in tears, fired, and defeated. Instead, they saw a woman whose face was tear-stained, yes, but whose eyes shone with a strange, radiant light. Patricia, her face, a mixture of curiosity and malice, was the first to speak, her voice dripping with false concern. "Nancy, so it is true. We were so worried. What happened? Did the boss sack you?" "Ah, I knew it. This city is too hard. Where will you go now?" Nancy looks at Patricia. For the first time, Patricia's cruel words had no power over her. They could not hurt her anymore. Nancy simply gave her a small, gentle smile. "No, Patricia, I have not been sacked." Nancy walks to her small locker and begins to gather her few possessions. A spare piece of cloth, a small container of soap, and the worn-out photograph of her parents. The other cleaners watch her in confused silence. Patricia's eyes narrow in suspicion. "So what happened? Why are you packing your things? Did he give you a warning? Did he transfer you to the dirty warehouse branch?" She turns to face them, her dignity and composure unshakable. "Mr. Collins has offered me a new position. I will no longer be working as a cleaner." Patricia lets out a short, ugly laugh. "A new position? What new position can he offer you? Head of sweeping? Chief of mopping? Do not lie to us, Nancy." Nancy knew she did not owe them an explanation, especially not Patricia. But she also wanted to close this chapter of her life with grace, not with anger. "I will be working as the personal companion for Mr. Collins' mother." Silence. Utter, complete, and disbelieving silence. The cleaners stared at her as if she had just announced she was flying to the moon. Patricia's jaw dropped open. Her face cycled through shock, disbelief, and then a dark, consuming jealousy. She scoffs. "You, companion to his mother? Nancy, have you started having fever dreams? Why would he pick you? It is impossible. You are lying." Nancy, holding her small bag as she walks towards the door. "Believe what you wish, Patricia. I wish you all well. Goodbye." Nancy walks out, leaving them in a state of stunned silence. Patricia could not comprehend how someone like Nancy, whom she had looked down upon for so long, could receive such an incredible blessing. Outside of the magnificent corporate building, a sleek, black, luxurious car is parked at the entrance. A uniformed driver, Joseph, stands beside it. He sees Nancy approaching and opens the back door for her with a respectful nod. As Nancy stepped out of the building, she saw the car. It was the kind of car she had only ever seen in movies or driving past her on the street, carrying the rich and powerful. She hesitated for a moment, feeling unworthy of such luxury. But the driver, Joseph, smiled kindly. "Good morning, Miss Nancy. I am Joseph. The boss has instructed me to take you to Mama Ifeoma's house. Please, enter." Nancy slid into the back seat. The seat was soft leather, and the inside of the car was cool and quiet, a sanctuary from the noise and heat of the city. As the car pulled away from the curb smoothly, she looked out the window. She saw her former co-workers staring from a distance, their faces full of astonishment. She was leaving that life behind. The car journey was a quiet time of reflection for Nancy. She watched the bustling city pass by through the tinted windows, a world she was once lost in, but was now viewing from a place of comfort and security. She held the small photograph of her parents in her lap, feeling that somehow they were watching over her. As the car arrives at a beautiful large house in a quiet, wealthy neighborhood, the house is surrounded by high walls, but through the ornate gate, a stunning garden filled with colorful flowers can be seen. The car drove into a serene and beautiful part of the city Nancy had never been to before. It stopped in front of a magnificent gate, which opened automatically. The house was not just a building, it was an estate. It was large and modern, but it had a warmth that the cold corporate office lacked. There were flowers everywhere, and the sound of birdsong filled the air. Joseph led her to the front door. which was opened by a smiling housekeeper in a neat uniform. "Welcome, Miss Nancy. We have been expecting you. Mama is in the garden. Please, come this way." Nancy is led through a cool, beautifully decorated living room and out onto a large, shaded veranda that overlooks a breathtaking garden. And there, sitting in a comfortable armchair, listening to the birds, was the old woman from the market. Her heart swelled with emotion when she saw her. Mama Ifeoma was dressed in a beautiful, comfortable traditional wrapper and blouse. She no longer looked lost or fragile. She looked serene, dignified, and peaceful. She turned her head as Nancy approached, a wide, knowing smile spreading across her face. It was the same grateful smile Nancy remembered from the market, but now it was filled with a deep personal joy. Her voice warm and full of affection. "Nancy, my child, I knew you would come. My heart told me I would see you again." Nancy rushed forward and knelt respectfully beside the old woman's chair, taking her hand gently. "Mama, I am so happy to see you again. When I helped you, I never imagined." She pats Nancy's hand. "You did not help me because you imagined a reward. You helped me because your heart is good. That is why you are here." My stubborn son, for all his money and power, was wise enough to see the gold that I saw. "Welcome, my dear. Welcome to your new home." Nancy looked at Mama Ifeoma's kind face, then around at the beautiful, peaceful garden. The fear and uncertainty of her past felt like a distant memory. This was her new reality, a reality born not from luck, but from a single, selfless act of kindness. Her journey was just beginning, but for the first time in her life, Nancy felt truly safe. She felt she was finally home. The days that followed were like a beautiful dream for Nancy. Her new life settled into a peaceful and joyous routine. The grand house, which had at first felt intimidating, now felt like a true home. Her mornings were spent with Mama Ifeoma, sharing stories and laughter. Nancy discovered that the old woman had a sharp mind and a wonderful sense of humor. They would spend hours talking about everything and nothing, about Mama Ifeoma's youth in the village, and about Nancy's quiet dreams for the future. Nancy's duties were not a job, they were a pleasure. Her presence had brought a new light into the household. The other staff, who were initially reserved, saw the genuine affection between Nancy and Mama Ifeoma and welcomed her with warmth and respect. The house, once quiet and somber, was now filled with the sound of genuine happiness. Later that evening, Nancy was helping Mama Ifeoma to sit down for lunch at a beautifully set dining table, as the cook serves them a delicious-looking meal of jollof rice and chicken. "Nancy, my child, you eat with me today. Do not stand there. Come and sit." "Mama, it is all right. I can eat in the kitchen after you have finished." She taps the table firmly. "Nonsense. You are not a servant in this house. You are my companion, my friend, my daughter. You will sit at this table and eat with me. That is an order from an old woman." Nancy smiles, her heart filled with warmth. She sits opposite Mama Ifeoma, and they begin to eat together. It is a simple moment, but for Nancy, who had eaten so many meals alone in her life, sharing a meal at a proper dining table was a profound experience. For the first time in her life, Nancy felt like she belonged to a family. She was no longer just surviving, she was thriving. She ate well, she slept peacefully in a comfortable room given to her within the house, and most importantly, she was cherished. Her kindness, which the world had so often overlooked, was now her greatest asset, celebrated every single day. But while Nancy was living in this newfound paradise, a dark cloud of jealousy was gathering elsewhere, preparing to unleash a storm. The bustling staff area of Collins Holdings. Patricia is talking to another cleaner, her face twisted with resentment. "I still cannot believe it. Nancy, of all people, there must be something else going on. She must have done something to trick the old woman. She is a cunning snake, pretending to be a saint. I know her type." "Patricia, just leave it alone. It is her good fortune. What is your own business in the matter?" "It is my business. I worked there longer than her. I was more experienced. If anyone deserved a promotion, it was me. She stole my opportunity. I will not let her get away with this. I will expose her for the fraud she is." Patricia's heart was consumed by a bitter and toxic envy. She could not stand the thought of Nancy's success. She saw it as a personal insult, a judgment on her own life. In her twisted mind, she began to invent stories. She convinced herself that Nancy must have used some form of deceit or manipulation to secure her position. This wicked thought grew in her mind until it became an obsession. She decided she had to act. She would go directly to the top. She would tell Mr. Collins the truth about Nancy and reclaim the glorious destiny she believed was rightfully hers. The reception area of the top floor at Collins Holdings. Patricia, dressed in her best but still cheap-looking clothes, stands arguing with the receptionist. "I am sorry, but Mr. Collins does not see people without an appointment, and he certainly does not meet with the cleaning staff." Her voice is loud and desperate. "Please, you have to let me see him. It is an emergency. It is about his mother. It is about the new girl, Nancy." "I have very important information that he needs to hear. She is a danger to his family." Patricia's loud commotion was unprofessional and disruptive. Just as the receptionist was about to call security, a door down the hall opened. It was Mr. Collins on his way out for a meeting. He stopped and frowned, his eyes falling on the scene. What is the meaning of this disturbance? Patricia sees him and her eyes light up with manic triumph. She pushes past the receptionist and rushes towards him. Sir, thank God you are here. I have been trying to warn you. You have made a terrible mistake. That girl, Nancy, she is not who you think she is." His face is a mask of cold authority. He looks at Patricia with disdain. "You are a cleaner on the 4th floor. Your name is Patricia, correct? What are you doing here? And what nonsense are you talking about, Miss Okafor?" "It is not nonsense, sir. I know her. I worked with her. She is a liar and a thief. Before she came to work here, she was always in trouble. She is pretending to be a good person to steal from your family. She probably planned the whole thing with your mother at the market. Please, sir, you must fire her before she brings ruin to your household." Patricia spoke with a desperate, venomous passion, truly believing the lies she was telling. She expected Mr. Collins to be shocked, to be grateful for her warning. She expected him to praise her for her loyalty. She was wrong. Mr. Collins listened to her entire tirade without interruption, his expression growing colder and harder with every word. When she was finished, panting and looking at him expectantly, there was a long, dangerous silence. His voice is deceptively soft, yet full of ice. "Are you finished?" "Yes, sir. I am only trying to protect you. Let me be very clear. I did not hire Miss Okafor based on a whim. I had my security team conduct a full and thorough background investigation on her. She is an orphan with no family and no connections. Her life has been one of hardship, yet she has not a single mark against her name. Not one. She is honest. She is hardworking. And she possesses a level of integrity that you, clearly, cannot even comprehend." Patricia's face falls. The confidence drains out of her, replaced by a dawning horror. Mr. Collins took a step closer, his eyes boring into Patricia. He was no longer just a boss. He was a son defending the honor of the person who had brought his mother happiness. "You did not come here to protect me. You came here because you are consumed with jealousy. You saw someone else receive a blessing, and instead of being happy for them, or working harder to earn your own, you chose to try and tear them down with lies. That is the mark of a truly worthless character. My company and my family have no place for people like you." Stammering, "Sir, please, I was mistaken." Mr. Collins turned to his receptionist. "Grace, call security and have this woman escorted from the premises. Call human resources and inform them that her employment is terminated, effective immediately. She is to be paid her final wages and is never to set foot in this building again." Patricia collapses to her knees, begging and pleading as security guards arrive and gently but firmly lift her to her feet. Her cries of, "Please, sir, forgive me," echo down the hallway as she is led away. Mr. Collins watches her go, his face hard and unyielding. He then turns and walks back into his office, the incident already put behind him. On that day, Patricia learned a hard lesson. The poison of jealousy does not harm the object of its envy. It only consumes the person who carries it. Her attempt to destroy Nancy's life had only resulted in the destruction of her own. Later that evening, at the beautiful garden at Mama Ifeoma's house, the sun is setting, painting the sky in colors of orange and purple. Nancy and Mama Ifeoma are sitting together on a bench. Nancy knew nothing of the drama that had unfolded at the office. Her evening was peaceful. She was describing the colors of the sunset to Mama Ifeoma, who listened with a gentle smile on her face. Suddenly, they heard the sound of a car arriving. It was Mr. Collins. This was unusual, as he rarely visited on a weekday evening. He walked into the garden, his suit jacket now removed, his tie loosened. He looked tired, but the hardness was gone from his face. "Collins, my son, what a pleasant surprise. Has your work finished so early today?" "Good evening, Mama." "Good evening, Nancy. I wanted to see how you were doing." His eyes meet Nancy's for a moment, and she gives him a small, respectful smile before looking down. "Good evening, sir. Mama is well. We had a lovely day." Mr. Collins looked at his mother. She looked happier and more vibrant than she had in years. He looked at Nancy, who radiated a quiet and gentle strength. He knew with absolute certainty that he had made the right decision. He had not only hired a companion for his mother, he had brought an angel of peace into their lives, and he had protected that peace fiercely. The incident with Patricia had solidified his resolve. Nancy was now under his protection, a valued part of his family's world. The heartwarming bond he was witnessing was a treasure, and he would let no one tarnish it. The sun was as bright and warm. Uplifting, heartwarming music plays. Nancy, now dressed in a beautifully tailored but simple traditional outfit, is guiding Mama Ifeoma along a garden path. Nancy looks healthier, her face full of life and confidence. There is an easy, familiar bond between them. 6 months passed, and with each passing day, the bond between Nancy and Mama Ifeoma grew deeper, blossoming into a love that resembled that of a mother and her own cherished daughter. Nancy was no longer the timid, fearful woman who cleaned office tables. She was confident, articulate, and carried herself with a quiet grace that earned her the respect of everyone in the household. Mama Ifeoma, in turn, thrived under her care. Her laughter was more frequent, her health had improved, and the light that had been missing from her life had returned, brighter than ever before. Nancy was not just a companion. She had become the heart of the home. On evening, Mr. Collins arrives at the house. But this time his arrival is not a rare event. He is carrying a small shopping bag. He smiles as he sees his mother and Nancy sitting together, sharing a plate of sliced mangoes. Mr. Collins's visits also became more frequent. He started leaving the office earlier, not out of duty, but out of a genuine desire to spend time at home. He would often find his mother and Nancy engaged in lively conversation and would sit and listen, a small, rare smile playing on his lips. The cold, ruthless billionaire was slowly being softened by the warmth that now filled his home. He saw how Nancy's simple goodness had transformed his mother's world, and he found himself undeniably drawn to her gentle spirit. "Good evening, Mama. Good evening, Nancy." "Ah, my son, you are here. Come and join us." Nancy was just telling me a funny story about the market vendor who sells singing parrots. He chuckles. "Singing parrots? I am sure it is a fascinating story. Nancy, I brought something for you." Nancy looks up, surprised. Mr. Collins hands her the small bag. She opens it hesitantly and pulls out a beautiful, simple silver necklace with a small, elegant pendant. "Sir, this is beautiful, but why? You do not have to give me gifts. Consider it a token of appreciation for everything you do, for the joy you have brought to this house. Please, accept it." Nancy looks from the necklace to Mr. Collins and then to Mama Ifeoma, who is smiling knowingly. Nancy's heart flutters. She had started to see a different side of her boss, a kind, thoughtful man hidden beneath a guarded exterior. She accepted the gift with a shy but grateful smile. The gift was more than just a piece of jewelry. It was a symbol of her complete acceptance into the family, It was a sign that Mr. Collins saw her not as an employee, but as someone truly special. Little did she know, it was also a sign of his growing affection, a feeling that was beginning to confuse and surprise him. One evening, a few weeks later, a heavy rainstorm is raging outside. The power in the house suddenly goes out, plunging the living room into darkness. Mama Ifeoma, who dislikes storms, lets out a small cry of fear. "Oh, the lights! Nancy, are you there?" Her voice is calm and reassuring, instantly by her side. "I am right here, Mama. Do not be afraid. It is just the rain. Let me find the emergency lamp. Hold my hand." Just then, Mr. Collins, who had been working in his home study, walks in using the light from his phone. He sees Nancy's silhouette, her hand firmly holding his mother's, her voice a beacon of calm in the darkness. He watches as she expertly navigates to a nearby cabinet, retrieves a rechargeable lamp, and switches it on, casting a warm, gentle glow over the room. His mother's fear immediately subsides. "Ah, that is better. Thank you, my child. You are never afraid of anything." "There is nothing to be afraid of when we are together, Mama." Mr. Collins watches this exchange, and in that moment, something profound shifts within him. He did not see an employee comforting her charge. He saw strength, grace, and a deep, unwavering love. He saw a woman who could calm any storm, literal or metaphorical. He realized that the peace she had brought into his mother's life, she had also brought into his own. It was in that quiet, candlelit moment that Mr. Collins finally understood the truth. He was in love with Nancy. He was in love with her kindness, her integrity, her quiet strength, and the beautiful soul that had saved his mother from loneliness and, in turn, had saved him from his own cold isolation. By morning, the sun is shining brightly after the storm. Mr. Collins asks Nancy to join him for a walk in the garden. He seems uncharacteristically nervous. The following afternoon, Mr. Collins did something he had never done before. He asked Nancy to walk with him in the garden, alone. Nancy was nervous, wondering if she had done something wrong. But as they walked along the stone path, surrounded by the scent of wet earth and flowers, she noticed he was not angry. He was hesitant. "Nancy, I need to speak with you about something important." "Yes, sir? Is everything all right?" He stops and turns to face her, his expression serious and sincere. "Please, stop calling me sir. My name is Collins, and yes, everything is more than all right. It is better than it has been in many years, and that is because of you." Nancy looks at him, her heart starting to beat faster. "When my mother first told me about you, I was looking for a caregiver. But you have become so much more. You have become the light of this home. You have become a daughter to my mother. And for me, you have become indispensable. Nancy, your kindness and your spirit have completely changed my life. I have come to realize that I cannot imagine my life, or this home, without you in it." He takes a deep breath, his eyes locking with hers. "Nancy Okafor, I am not saying this as your boss. I am saying this as a man who has fallen in love with you. I know this is sudden. I know our lives started in very different places. But I see a future with you. Would you consider sharing that future with me?" Nancy stared at him, her eyes wide with disbelief and a dawning, radiant joy. The most powerful man she had ever known, the billionaire she once feared, was standing before her, vulnerable, offering her his heart. Tears welled in her eyes, but this time they were tears of pure, unadulterated happiness. The story that had started with a simple act of kindness at a crowded market had led to this incredible, unbelievable moment. Her voice is a whisper filled with emotion. "Collins, yes, yes, I will." A wide, brilliant smile breaks across Collins' face. In the background, watching from the veranda window with a serene smile, is Mama Ifeoma. It is as if she knew this would be the final beautiful chapter of the story all along. Months later, a beautiful, elegant, but intimate traditional wedding ceremony is taking place in the garden. Nancy is a stunning bride in beautiful attire. her face glowing with happiness. Colin stands beside her, his eyes full of love and adoration. Mama Ifioma sits in the front row, her sightless eyes turned towards them, her face the very picture of contentment. The music is joyful and triumphant. Dear viewers, and so the poor lady who helped an old blind woman was not only rewarded with a job, but was blessed with a loving family and a husband who cherished her for the purity of her heart. Nancy's story became a testament to a simple and powerful truth, that kindness is a seed. When planted with a pure heart, without expectation of reward, it can grow into a tree of blessings so large it can provide shelter, joy, and a love that lasts a lifetime. Her journey from a lonely orphan to the beloved wife of a billionaire was not a fairy tale. It was the direct result of a single, heartwarming choice to help someone in need, proving that the greatest treasures in life are not what we have, but what we give away. If you were moved, surprised, or inspired by this story, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button. It helps more people discover powerful stories like this one. Drop a comment below. We'd love to know your thoughts. What part hit you the hardest? Did it remind you of a moment in your own life? Subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss the next story. Every week, we dive into emotional, true, and unforgettable tales that stay with you long after the video ends. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this story today. You never know how much it might mean to them. Thank you for watching. Until next time, keep listening, keep feeling, and keep sharing stories that matter. At Virtuous Stories, we love you.